Creating and leading a BDSM scene requires not only planning, but also an ability to remain adaptable, connected, and in sync with the energy and responses of your submissive. So if you want to learn the right balance of structure and flexibility to create deeply immersive scenes, keep watching, because by the end of this video, you'll have a complete guide to structuring incredible BDSM scenes while staying confidently in flow. The first point in structuring your BDSM scene is with a deliberate cue. This cue is a powerful way to signal the start of your scene through a symbolic action or ritual, something that speaks directly to your submissive psyche. And it could be having them kneel in a certain position at a designated location, placing a collar around their neck, or having them put on a specific outfit or uniform, and many more. The possibilities are really endless here. These cues don't just signify the beginning of play. They also create a necessary psychological shift into the scene or high protocol interaction. When choosing a scene cue, consider what resonates most deeply with your submissive. In other words, what makes them feel soft, open, submissive, and vulnerable. For some, the weight of a heavy posture collar might be enough to spark that transition, while others may feel it through kneeling or a whispered mantra. Use what's most potent for the submissive to create an immersive start that sets the tone for everything that follows. Our next point is an especially crucial part of the transition process for switches and initial warm-up for submissives, and that is emotional connection. In contrast to men who are more wired like microwaves and can quickly heat up and be ready to go, in many ways women tend to warm up to erotic or encounters like crockpots, slowly reaching our boiling point as we feel safe, seen, and desired. Now, this step isn't about the physical touch or intensity of play yet, but rather the sense of closeness, connection, and anticipation. This is where you really want to lean into the principles I discussed in my video, How to Talk Like a Dom, because the right language, delivery, and tone can build deep arousal without any sort of physical stimulation. And if you want a little helper, download my erotic communication bundle on Patreon for 200 erotic ways to communicate with your submissive until the tension and desire becomes palpable. Just go over to patreon.com/LXErotica to get instant access. Now, I have an extensive background in public speaking, singing, and theater, and there's a principle in each art form that directly applies to scene craft and BDSM. Leave yourself somewhere to go with your energy. In recitation, your pace and tone set the direction for the audience. In vocal performance, you adjust how loud or soft you are, if your words are legato or staccato, based on what the music dictates. In theater, your character and the context of the script determine how you move, what you say, and when. In the same way, a BDSM scene should have peaks and valleys and transitions and movement. Start with a relatively low level of intensity and work your way toward the climax while leaving room for softer moments and small detours. This loose structure allows you to lead your submissive through a dynamic experience with varied emotions and sensations and reactions. By allowing these shifts, you can create a roller coaster effect in a good way, heightening the emotional and physical experience for both you and your submissive. So don't hesitate to pause where needed, whether to reestablish eye contact, give a reassuring touch, add pointed elements of dirty talk, or simply let the tension build in silence. These moments of ebb and flow build anticipation and make the higher intensity moments even more profound. Much of this ebb and flow involves your presence and knowledge of the submissive. Every sub has unique responses to various stimuli, and learning to read these cues allows you to guide the scenes with more precision and subtlety. Imagine you're doing some sensory play with a sensation glove, a claw glove. It has the fur and the little spikes in it, right? You notice your submissive's responses becoming more animalistic, as if tapping into some primal energy with peaks of purrs and nuanced nuzzles. I personally lean into those moments while keeping my ultimate goal and framework in mind. In this case, that could look like shifting language to use words like wolf, pet, stalk, hungry, eat, and prey, and evoke animalistic expressions like growling, scratching, or biting. Being open to these organic cues helps you stay in flow and adapt without rigidly sticking to a predetermined plan and forcing yourself into a performative role. For the ultra-spontaneous dominant, these unexpected deviations can also redirect the scene entirely if you wish, and if you feel comfortable thinking on your feet like that. It's all about what makes you feel the most confident in your current level of experience. These moments can be subtle, but they add layers of meaning and connection to the scene, making it a deeply powerful and organic experience for both players. But you can only do this if you're attuned to your submissive's verbal and nonverbal signals. Are they fully engaged, or do they seem withdrawn or lost in their thoughts? When they're aroused, you might notice certain vocalizations, breathing patterns, or body language that signal heightened enjoyment. Conversely, if they're hesitant or tense, it could indicate to ease up, offer verbal reassurance, or shift to something gentler, or push past the resistance with the authority the submissive craves. You know you're submissive. You know their limits. What are they after? Being observant and responsive in this way allows you to lead without overwhelming or losing them along the way. Additionally, you can always check in on them in an erotic way. Statements like, "Talk to daddy, baby girl." "Use your words, sweetheart." "Oh, is my pet tired already?" "You're going to be a good slave and take it for master, aren't you?" "Can you keep going? Can you prove your worth to your queen?" For even more dominant communication strategies, check out my erotic communication bundle on Patreon, which includes 200 erotic ways to talk to your submissive, 35 erotic ways to deny a submissive, 12-step dominant communication guide, plus 4 full-length erotic stories that will demonstrate just how to take your dirty talk to the next level. Just go over to patreon.com/LXerotica to get instant access. At this point, you should have reached the climax of your scene and fulfilled your scene goal, as we discussed last week. Once the peak of the scene has passed, rather than abruptly ending it, aim to prolong the emotional and energetic connection as long as possible. As you gradually decrease intensity, remove restraints, move to a restful location, etc. All right, aftercare is essential here, as both players decompress and come down from the high in a caring, gentle, mutually nurturing way. Quality time in the aftercare phase helps ground both partners and reinforces the trust established during the scene. You don't want to just jump into any sort of debrief until the blissful energy has settled and both players are fully back on earth. Do not cut short subspace. All right? This includes rushing into aftercare. So my goal as a dominant is always to blur the lines between when the scene has ended and when aftercare has begun. That's how gradual and nuanced this final phase can be. But I know all of this can be a lot to take in, so don't worry. My new Sensational Scenes bundle is like having me in the room with you, walking you through each step of the scene building process with 6 exclusive downloads and 5 full-length erotic stories that will give you a ton of practical ideas and action steps for your next playtime. Just go over to patreon.com/LXerotica to download this bundle instantly. And be sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on, because next week I'm sharing the 8 biggest secrets behind successful scenes in your Dom-Sub relationship.